The reproductive system produces the gametes that unite to make new individuals. The function of the reproductive system is to perpetuate the species, to make more people. Each system has essential organs, organs that must be present for this to be accomplished. In males, it's the testes. The testes produce sperm. They also make testosterone, which is an endocrine secretion, and semen, which is an exocrine secretion. The essential organ in the female is the ovaries. The ovaries produce the ova or the eggs and also secrete the hormones estrogen and progesterone, which are endocrine secretions. We'll start by looking at the male reproductive system. The essential organ is the testes. Now, the testes will not function at body temperature, so they are held outside the body in a skin sac known as the scrotum. The penis is the male organ of copulation. The penis is how the sperm will be introduced to the female reproductive system. The sperm are produced in the seminiferous tubules. Once they have been manufactured, they're stored in the epididymis. At ejaculation, the sperm will be released into the vas deferens to be carried into the body and to leave the body through the urethra. The vas deferens is found in the spermatic cord. The spermatic cord will have the vas deferens, blood vessels, and nerves that go to and from the testes. Once we get into the body cavity, all of these separate and go their individual ways. For sperm to leave the body, they enter the vas deferens. The vas deferens comes in, coils around the ureter, and joins to make the ejaculatory duct. The ejaculatory duct will put the sperm into the urethra, and so the urethra does dual duty in the male. It's part of the urinary system as well as part of the reproductive system. Now, the sperm by themselves wouldn't do very well, so we add some fluid to them. The seminal fluid is added by the seminal vesicle, the prostate gland, and the bulbourethral glands. In this model, we can see the seminiferous tubules in the testes, and here is the epididymis. The spermatic cord housing all of those materials until we get through the body cavity. Then you see the blood vessels go their way, and the vas deferens comes around. Here's the prostate gland, and here's the penis on this model. On this model, we see the testes, the epididymis. Here is the bulbourethral gland, the prostate gland, and the seminal vesicle. Here is the urethra coming out the penis. Semen will contain the sperm, which are the male reproductive cells, and the fluids that are produced by the accessory glands. These fluids are alkaline in nature. They contain fructose to nourish the sperm on their trip and other materials that help protect the sperm and activate them for swimming. The prostate gland, the seminal vesicle, and the bulbourethral gland are the accessory glands that produce the semen. A mature spermatozoa has three distinct parts: the head, the middle piece, and the tail. The head is just the nucleus, just the DNA that's going to go into the new person, along with an acrosome. The acrosome helps the sperm get into the egg. The middle piece contains all of the mitochondria. Now, mitochondria make ATP, and these guys have to swim, so they're going to need some energy to flip their flagella. So this is sort of the motor of the sperm. And then the tail is the flagellum that allows them to swim. This is a cross-section through the testes. You can see the seminiferous tubules cut in cross-section. These are the cells that make the sperm, and here are the sperm in the lumen of the tube. The cells outside the seminiferous tubules are the interstitial cells, or the cells of Leydig. These are the cells that produce testosterone. Testosterone is necessary to maintain the male reproductive system. The essential organ of the female reproductive system is the ovary. The female reproductive system is housed entirely in the pelvic cavity of the female. The ovaries produce the eggs, which are then sucked in by the fallopian tubes, or the uterine horns. We have one on each side. Typically, the ovaries take turns producing eggs each month. The fallopian tube will allow the egg to travel to the uterus. If the uterus is ready and the egg is fertilized, the egg will embed itself in the uterine wall and a pregnancy will ensue. The opening to the uterus is known as the cervix. The cervix normally has a thick mucus plug to protect it from bacteria getting past this cervical area. The cervical mucus thins during ovulation so that the sperm have a little easier time swimming in. The vagina is the female copulatory organ. This is where the sperm will be deposited. Once the sperm are deposited in the vagina, they have to swim through the cervix, through the uterus, out through the fallopian tube. The egg will be released into the body cavity of the female, and these little fimbriae will sort of suck it in. The egg and the sperm usually meet about a third of the way down the fallopian tube. Fertilization occurs here, cell division begins, and by the time it gets to the uterus, we already have a ball of cells that will embed on the uterine wall. On this model, the ovaries are here, and here are the fallopian tubes on each side, and here is the top of the uterus. In this mid-sagittal view, you can see the fallopian tube. The ovary is tucked down behind the uterus here. Here is the cervix and the vagina. Now in males, the urethra did dual duty. In females, we have separate openings to the female reproductive system and the urinary system. The urethral opening is in front of the vaginal opening. This is a cross-section through an ovary, through a developing follicle. The eggs develop and they're protected by these cells that are known as follicular cells. The follicular cells are responsible for secreting estrogen. Once the egg is released, a process known as ovulation, the cells left behind become a corpus luteum, and these cells then shift over and secrete progesterone. Estrogen and progesterone help regulate the production of eggs and are necessary for maintaining reproductive health in the female.